going on in relation to Rasmus, what's going on in relation to goalkeepers, midfielders, and everything else. We're obviously going to talk about this for sale story that's coming in from Mike Keegan. But actually, I want to start off just somewhere very differently to pose a question at the start of this show to this great community. The speed in which Arsenal have reacted to take Eze from under the noses of Tottenham is absolutely incredible. Now, I'm not an Arsenal fan, I'm a Manchester United fan, like most of you watching, but that is how football should be. And I think we need to keep reminding ourselves that we don't behave like a football club. Now, whether there's a blame attached to that, I think there is. I don't necessarily feel that the way this window is going is ultimately the responsibility of people like Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada. But I think from an ownership point of view, which we're going to talk about in a potential sale, I think they fail. They fail time and time again. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is obviously, eyes wide open about the debt and the problems at Manchester United. He's sacked a lot of people, but where it bites is in the backside, and where, at the end of the day, we've got to sell, got to sack people to survive. Where this really hurts us is that Arsenal get an injury to Havertz and swoop in and sign Eze. Manchester United don't have a goalkeeper. Amrin's wanted one since March. We still don't have one, and we lost the game at the weekend because of it. Manchester United need a midfielder. We knock on the door to Brighton, offer them half what he's worth, and then don't have a plan B. And this is why, no matter how good we look on the pitch, and we look very, very, very good on the pitch, from Sunday, we are going to struggle massively if we cannot support the manager on key performance indicators, for example, a goalkeeper and bringing in a midfielder. This is going to be really, really problematic. So I know that Arsenal's got nothing to do with what Manchester United are doing, but the speed of stealing Eze like that, because you need to do something because Havertz gets an injury, is why we're going to really, really struggle to catch those clubs ahead of us. Because you look at the volume of transfers, for example, an Arsenal or a Liverpool or a Chelsea or a Man City have made, but on top of that, they're still active in the last 2 weeks. I mean, basically, if Man United were in a boxing ring against Arsenal or Liverpool or Chelsea or Man City, and it was transfers, every single round of 12, they battered us in the latter rounds, the middle rounds, and the early rounds as the transfer window, if you broke it up into rounds. And I think I look at it and I go, Liverpool is still looking at where he's at in the final 2 to 10 days. Chelsea are still looking at Garnacho and Simons in the last 10 days. Man City are looking at Donnarumma and Rodrigo in the last 10 days. And Arsenal get an injury to Havertz and go and take Eze from under the nose of Spurs. And we do have to have this conversation. It is a really important topic because clubs that we want to aspire to compete with are reacting in the market all the time to potential issues. And the reason that Arsenal have gone and got Eze is because Havertz is out for a few months and they don't want to be left short or vulnerable once that window closes. But Man United are going to sit there without a midfielder and without a goalkeeper. So I think it's really important to remember that no matter what happens in the last 10 days and no matter what's happened in the last 3 months, and Šeško,
I don't know why Mark is so upset about the transfers that we did. I think he's being too much. What do you think?
Cunha and Mbeumo are very, very good signings. We have ultimately come up short, and we do not have the ability of the current top four to be proactive and move when we need to, and that ultimately is a problem. And that's my issue when I look at that Eze deal from Arsenal. I just think they're moving because of an injury. We're not even able to move when we've got 2 gaping holes in our team, and it's very frustrating. But it probably fits in with last night in relation to the ability to sell players that are just sat on their backside. Anyway, we can come back to that because what we're actually leading on this morning is shock sale clause. So many of you might have read it. If you haven't, you're in the right place. Mike Keegan, Daily Mail, has wrote an article in relation to the current situation with Manchester United and any potential sale. Now, Mike Keegan is always very good about this, around the Qatari bid, the Sir Jim Ratcliffe bid a couple of years ago when we had all that hype. So basically, on August the 13th, so last week, they call it drag-along rights. So basically, 18 months after Sir Jim Ratcliffe bought the club, this clause comes into play where the Glazers can basically legally sell the football club, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe can't stop it from happening. So for the first 18 months, the Glazers could not sell their shares without giving Sir Jim Ratcliffe approval. Now they can. So the Glazers could sell their shares and Sir Jim Ratcliffe's shares, and he wouldn't have anything to do about it. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has spoken about this previously and said, you know, that clause is there, we put it in the bottom cupboard and it collects dust, and hope, you know, we don't think we'll ever see it. So is there any prospect of a Manchester United sale now that that very genuine and true clause is there? So somebody could walk into Man United tomorrow and say, there's 10 billion for the club, and the Glazers could take it, and there's nothing Sir Jim Ratcliffe can do about it. That is the clause, and it is active. Whether that's good news or bad news, the reality of the situation is, and the article from Mike Keegan breaks this down, there is zero interest from Qatar and Sheikh Jassim in Manchester United anymore. Now, that is probably because of multiple things, and it mentions it in the article. The Qatari Olympic bid, which I think is 2036. Also, the success of PSG winning that Champions League. And thirdly, the fact that realistically it was a saga that left them with a bloody nose. You know, there was people putting it out there that the person doesn't even exist. I think even Sir Jim Ratcliffe hinted that the person doesn't exist, Sheikh Jassim. Ridicule from the press, as we know, misinformation put out, and ultimately what you could probably describe as a sale process that was never a sale process. It was always about working with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who was going to prop the Glazers up. So I think that the Qatari interest, as per that article, is low. Secondly, who is going to walk in and take the money, you know, and bid the money for the Glazers? I don't think there's anybody out there. Thirdly, most of all, and the article relays this, the Glazers and Sir Jim Ratcliffe get on very, very well. If it was a business transaction where they didn't get on with each other, then maybe the Glazers would be looking to do something. But this apparently is a very, very cosy relationship. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has always spoken about what great people the Glazers are, how, you know, they've only got the best interests of the club at heart, they're good people. Apparently he flies over there regularly for meetings in the States with them. So Mike Keegan basically saying that, yes, this clause is there, and somebody could walk in tomorrow, offer ridiculous money, the Glazers can take it, and there's nothing Sir Jim Ratcliffe can do about it. But actually, in reality, nobody's going to do that. The Qataris are certainly not going to come back. And also, the Glazers and Sir Jim have a very tight relationship that goes beyond business. There's actually a relationship there that they get on. Also, I think fundamentally, when you look at what Sir Jim Ratcliffe's done in the last 18 months, he has basically done what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did as a manager. He has become a shock absorber to the Glazers. The Glazers don't really get mentioned anymore. They own the club. It is a Glazer football club, but everyone talks about it like it's Sir Jim Ratcliffe's football club. They own the football club. They make big decisions, but everybody talks like it's Sir Jim Ratcliffe making those decisions. They've made some big decisions. They've said that the club's going to knock Old Trafford down. That's a Glazer decision. Sir Jim Ratcliffe fronts it. They had the regeneration project in 2017. The plans are there, the documents are there, but apparently it's a Sir Jim Ratcliffe project. So everything that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has done for the Glazers is basically just take them out of the equation, and they sit back, you know, making their money as per the last 20 years. So for the Glazers, this is a very cosy relationship, and also the projects that they're working on in 5 years' time, or whenever they actually start doing the work. I think that's a great point. They haven't started doing the work yet, but whenever they start building that new project, the value of Manchester United goes through the roof. If Manchester United can get themselves back into the Champions League, Super Leagues, they're going to make a lot of money. The value of Man United trajectory is going to go up with the stadium, and if they can get themselves back into the Champions League. So why would the Glazers ever want to sell? They're not going to sell from under the feet of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So yes, the clause is there, and you might see people going, you know, United's up for sale or stuff like that. But the reality is nothing's actually changed. It was a stopgap. It was a stopgap that if after 18 months they weren't getting on, they might look at a sale, and I think some of us hope that might happen. Even the other way, even if it didn't work and they looked to sell, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe might be able to buy more. But as of now, the relationship is, from their side, very, very strong. and the future will be the Glazers and Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So look, that clause is there, but ultimately, you know, we are where we are with it, and we'll have to just wait and see. Please start a GoFundMe to buy the club, says Richard. Well, I think it's an important update. Unless anybody wants to go back onto it, I don't intend going back onto it. But I think sometimes misinformation is out there. The clause is there. They can sell the club now. So Jim Ratcliffe can't stop them selling the club. But in reality, you know, there's not a lot we can do about that. 1 minute, I'm just going to grab something. Can I grab it? I really want to go and grab it because it's pretty cool. Can you give me 30 seconds? You'll like it. You will like it.
Where did you go, Matt? Come on. Yeah, this is a very interesting idea. To have the Glazers sell Man United. It's an interesting idea for sure. But doesn't make a difference anyway for us supporters. Potentially because they are going to bring in somebody with bigger pockets that would then help in funding our team.
Not happy. Not happy. It's not, you know, does that ever happen to you? Like, it's not actually. I saw it coming down the drive. I mean, it's not a massive drive. I don't live in a mansion. I saw it coming down the drive, and I thought it was something to do with the Bundesliga tomorrow. So I was like, oh, it'd be great to open it. And then it wasn't that. This is the trouble with ordering packages. Like, you think it's yours, you get excited, and it's someone else's package, which sounds completely wrong. Anyway, I'll have it for you later, don't worry. Probably on the 8 o'clock show. Remember, we've got Ben Jacobs at 2 o'clock as well, so we're excited about that. Anyway, back into the news. That's the latest on that. I've spoken about the Eze stuff as well. I do just want to talk about why am I out of breath from going down the stairs? I think I need to do a little bit more exercise. I'm worried about that. I think I might be dying. Oh, I've just got Bundesliga rights. That is a bit worrying, running down the stairs and being out of breath. I'm actually quite fit. My Whoop age. I haven't got my Whoop on, that's why. Anyway, I'm losing it, getting old. Right, going back to what I'm talking about. So, look, interesting updates this morning around the Rasmus Højlund situation. So let's get into the transfer news because it is a morning show, it is a news show. So, Stephen Torpey has been given the role to lead Manchester United's academy. Good luck to him. Hopefully it works out quite well. Yeah, Douglas Luiz is going to Forest. That's another midfielder on the move. Yeah, Jason Wilcox has announced that Stephen Torpey will be the new academy director. God, all right, well done. You've got the job. That's not really breaking news, is it? Let's right. Okay, let's get into my news because that's boring. With all due respect, I hope he does a great job. Nick Cox was very good. Why is this doing this? Right, I've got everything's going downhill now since I went downstairs. Okay, here we go. Literally, here we go. Not a here we go. But Manchester United striker Rasmus Højlund and his camp have made clear to the likes of Napoli and RB Leipzig that he prefers a loan move with an obligation to buy. Go to the Bundesliga. No favoritism there. But go to the Bundesliga. I think it'd be good to go to the Bundesliga if you're going to go. Don't forget, actually, that's football. Make sure you're subscribing. Tomorrow night, our Bundesliga action starts. It's going to be great fun. Obviously.
Thanks very much for watching. Yeah, we'll get together again in another video. Make sure you leave a subscribe. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment and a like. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one.